Hello one and all, welcome back to yet another movie review, and this time I shall be reviewing Shelby Oaks, which came out in 2025, and it is written and directed by Chris Stuckman, and it stars Camelia Sullivan, Sarah Dawn, and Keith David. So guys, this movie has been out for a bit. I recently watched it first time. I got a Blu-ray of it, as I just showed you earlier. But I'm just going to keep this spoiler free anyway, just in case you haven't seen Shelby Oaks. But I would highly suggest watching Shelby Oaks. So, a woman's search for her long lost sister becomes an obsession when she realizes a demon from her childhood may have been real, not imaginary. And this is a thing that takes place during the olden days of YouTube. So guys, if you guys have been following me for a long time, or if you've even been following any of the older times, possibly 2010s even, with the YouTube film community, Chris Stuckman was one of those people involved. And yet Chris Stuckman was simply my go-to YouTuber back then. Like he is the reason why I am making YouTube videos, and he pretty much inspired a lot of people to become film critics, possibly just movie YouTube fans anyway, like myself anyway. I mean, because I just tend to do it for fun, and I still am thinking of doing that anyway. Then in the early 2020s, he announced he was going to direct a film, Shelby Oaks, and here we are. Here's Shelby Oaks. Also, he's done some short films when he was a kid, and he recently, in 2019, made Notes from Melanie, which I've watched, by the way. And now he's making feature-length movies. And yeah, I think overall Shelby Oaks is a pretty good movie, guys. I think this is a solid directorial debut from Chris Stuckman, and definitely something that I am glad that I've watched, because whenever I see a familiar person, I am always gonna support them no matter what happens. And I think Shelby Oaks overall was a solid enough directorial debut. I mean, it does have some issues, which I'll get into in a little bit. But Camelia Sullivan plays Mia, who is the main lead in this movie. She is excellent in the film, along with some of the performances in the movie. Like, every scene that Camelia Sullivan was in, like, she was so good in this movie. And she is the character looking for her sister, Riley, because it says on the Blu-ray right there, if you can see, who took Riley Brennan. And so Sarah Dawn plays Riley, who's the sister, who is seen in the movie eventually, along with Keith David, who has a very brief role, but he is very good in this movie. Even though it's not an incredible role, he has an incredibly big role. But Keith David, everything he's in, I'm sure he is great anyway. And what I really loved about Shelby Oaks was how well shot this movie was. The cinematography, I thought, was just breathtaking, and I loved how Chris Stuckman captured elements, you know, cross between found footage movies and you know, just a proper length movie anyway. And I also understand why Chris Stuckman wants his movies to be very realistic as they can be, rather than have some big old CGI going on. And there's some elements that could have been used with CGI, but Stuckman actually made them look so real. And the way he handled it was so good in the movie. that being said, leads into my cons. Shelby Oaks, unfortunately, I wouldn't consider a great film. But that does not mean Shelby Oaks is bad, unlike despite what some people are saying. It's not like Alien 3 bad or anything, because that's a directorial debut. Shelby Oaks, I do think, is pretty good anyway. Just not a top-tier directorial debut. Part of that is some of the jump scares didn't really work out for me. Here's what I will say, though. I love how... Another thing that I love what Chris Stuckman did in this movie is that having some build-up jump scares rather than just false alarm jump scares, which I've seen in his videos saying that he hates false alarm jump scares, and I think for the most part he handles them pretty well. Unfortunately, some jump scares for me kind of just fall flat, in my opinion anyway. And also some elements I think drag maybe a little bit too long. And also, I think having Chris Stuckman to do one of the elements, whether it's the directing or the writing, if he wants to do the other, I would have got somebody else to do the writing. Like, if he wanted to direct it, then I would have got someone else to write it. I mean, fair enough if that's the way he wants to do with movies from now on. But I would definitely get someone else to do the writing or directing element, depending which Stuckman prefers to do. I would prefer him to direct the movie and have somebody else write the movie, because at times the screenplay didn't fully stick the landing in my book. But overall, guys, Shelby Oaks, I enjoyed this quite a bit. It's not one of the best horror movies I've ever seen, but I'm glad I watched this anyway, simply because of Chris Stuckman, and I am very interested to see what he does next, and I think he can get better anyway. And I'm not interested in making movies myself, but if I was, then I would truly understand by taking some criticisms or complaints, whatever you call them these days, and make them better. But Shelby Oaks, I think, has some great filmmaking aspects, some great acting, and honestly, big congratulations for Chris Stuckman for making this movie happen. It's got a physical release now, which I have a copy of myself, and I'm definitely glad I've seen this, and I am going to give Shelby Oaks a B. There you go, guys. That is my review on Shelby Oaks. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think of Shelby Oaks, and comment down below what you guys think of Chris Stuckman's filmmaking journey, and what do you think should come next for him. Let me know below in the comments if you want to say anything about that. You're welcome to. So if you're new to my channel, I'm a movie reviewer from the UK that likes to do movie reviews, particularly classics, because they're my favourite types to do. But of course I would do new releases here and there. But as always, feel free to comment if you want to comment, but more importantly, like and subscribe and notify that bell before you leave. All my social media links are in the description below. But if you're a returner, welcome back and hope you're enjoying the content so far. And as always, until my next video, I shall see you then, and peace, or should I say, get Stuckmanized.